I wanted to live on Balboa Island for sure. Yeah, it's you've been to Balboa Island.
Oh,
so
of course.
It's kind of a special place.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to come home from work and you drive over the bridge and you get to the other side and you feel like you're like in Mayberry or something.
Yeah.
It was like a whole different vibe there.
I heard they had hunting before back on the island.
Oh,
back
maybe.
way
back.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever moves they were shooting.
I was like, how do you even go? The island's kind of island's I always wondered how they had hunting on it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's probably like a duck club or something.
It's probably a duck club.
It's
probably like geese
that
or like
over.
skeet shooting.
Because this used to be like a sandy swamp area. A long time ago.
Really, the harbor was the mouth of the river, the Santa Ana River. If it's channelized now and it goes out to the ocean, but it actually used to dump into the top of the harbor there, like where Newport Island is and all that.
Oh yeah.
So it was just a big marshy sandbar kind of.
It might still be if they keep cloud seeding.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's an old story. So anyway, I wound up down here working for Tan & Tucker for a couple of years. But, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, just like you are.
Yeah.
And, when you work for a law firm with 120 bosses, basically, that are above you,
right?
It just wasn't my thing,
You're not making partner anytime soon.
No, well, here, I'll tell you another funny story if you want. So I'm at UCLA interviewing for jobs, right? And this one law firm was interviewing on campus, and they were a mid-sized downtown LA law firm. And one of the name partners was doing the interviewing. And I went through a half-hour interview with this guy. And at the end of the interview, and this guy was the sharpest of them all, he says, Steve, it sounds to me more like you're going to be one of our clients than one of our attorneys.
Oh.
And he called it. I mean, he called, just called me out on it. But it was true. You could see my parents were entrepreneurs. They came out here, and I always had some little.
You have that bug in you, innately, just like, I got to create something.
Exactly. I always had some business when I was a kid. I sold earrings door to door. I walked dogs. I washed windows, mowed yards.
It sounds like John Paul.
Delivered newspapers, whatever it was, to make a few dollars and do something.
You were a hustler, also a manifester. So that means you're a dreamer. Yeah. But you also execute your dreams, which is great. That's different.
Well, either that or they execute me, one way or another. but so then I got a real estate broker's license. I actually got it while I was still at the law firm. And
wait, you double dipped? Were you did you have the book there while you were trying to bill some billable hours, do some tests?
Luckily, as an attorney, you don't have to study. You don't have to do any of the classes.
Yeah.
If you have a law license, you can just go sit for the test. Yeah. And so, being a real estate attorney, I knew a lot already. And I was was good at math, and that's part of the test. And I had some experience in real estate, even personally with my mom investing in some stuff. So I just went in and sat for the test.
Nature.
Really? So you didn't have to, you just went, you didn't
No.
You're like, I know all this.
Yeah. I finished way early, and I'm thinking maybe I missed something.
Yeah. Did I do this? You're excuse me.
Like, this is the test? So that was your real estate?
You know how you see in the movies, like the one guy taking the test stands up in the middle of the test and walks out. Everybody's staring at him. Well, I was done, so I just turned.
That's amazing.
But anyway, so I got the real estate broker's license when I was there. And my very first client was actually a law client that you asked me what real estate attorneys do. So he owned a piece of land. Actually, you'd know where it is. It's on the curve on Bristol Street, where the car wash is up in Costa Mesa.
Oh, yeah.
So that used to be, his family used to own all that land there.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, you'd think it was nice, but that was like a landfill. That was a garbage dump at one time.
Where the lumber mill is?
Are we talking about I don't know if it went down that far, but
in that area,
when you go on the curve up Bristol Street to Southwest Plaza. And so the problem with the land was it had the garbage dump on it. So you couldn't just build on the land anything because, there's trash underneath and gas comes up.
Methanol, was it called?
Methane.
Methane,
Methane. Anyway, so he was selling a piece of that land at the time. And I knew he needed to buy something else to do a tax-free exchange. And I said, okay, I got a ready-made client. And I wound up selling him I think it was a 26-unit building. They were all 26 condominium units, but they were rented as apartments. Yeah.
And that was your first
first deal. Yeah. I learned some lessons on that deal too. Yeah.
Did you have to expose the methanol or the?
I didn't sell that piece. He had already sold that.
Oh, he sold.
I did the paperwork for the sale of that property.
Got it. Okay,
but I'm sure we did disclose it. You'd have to disclose
By the way, you might die if you inhale over there.
I'm assuming they eventually ended up digging all that out.
They would, they had to dig, excavate it and recompact it.
That's where my first office was when I moved. For Edge Music. was that little area. They've got like office stuff over there now.
Yeah, there's a little low-rise office buildings.
Yeah, little rise. They've got like some little restaurants now. And they built it pretty good.
In my little town, they put like a little shopping area / like area, and there was going to be this parking lot where they were going to put apartments. No idea. The city is the one that's doing the project, and they go to build the building. They do core samples, and it was a garbage dump.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, okay, well, it's really expensive, so it's just still sitting as a dirt parking lot.
What do you do for that?
Well, you can do some remediation, like you can install piping throughout there to kind of siphon off the gas. But realistically, you can't build on. We actually, in Newport Beach here, we have, if you've been out by like Newport Coast, and there's a big open field there, like next to the Newport Coast Community Center. So that's called Bonita Canyon Landfill. And that's a big landfill. That used to be the county landfill. So the county owns it.
That's why.
Yeah, but there's talks, like you could build like a golf course maybe on top of it.
Right.
As long as you don't water it too much, because water, when it gets into the trash, it makes more methane. But there is some land around it.
A dry course? What would you just build?
Well, they have a couple of those in Seattle that
they're
are
called.
golf courses.
There's like links courses, are really just landscaped on the fairway and not.
They
on
could
the
just build
sides.
turf. Can't you just do turf courses?
Nobody would use it,
Yeah.
and nobody would. She's talking about fake turf.
Oh, fake turf.
I'm like, can't you just put fake turf? I'm a golfer also, but
Yeah, that'd be expensive to fake turf a golf course. Yeah, but there is some land. There is some land actually around the perimeters of it where they're talking about building low-income housing now for Newport Beach. Believe it or not. Yeah. So I don't know how we got down that rabbit hole.
No. The rabbit holes are the best.
I know a lot. Too much, I think. Sometimes.
So you did the deal. That's how you got into real estate. Was your first deal?
So yeah, that was my first deal as a real estate broker, and I was doing that for a while, selling some small commercial properties and things. And then the recession hit in the early 90s, which was the savings and loan recession, when a lot of the S&Ls went belly up, and the Fed
people
took them
weren't
over.
getting loans.
They were selling. Yeah, it was a big mess. So business was off, and so I started selling residential properties.
Because it says residential then commercial.
Well, yeah. So I kind of segued into that because at least homes were still selling some. And so I did that for a while. And then...
Were you done being a lawyer by this time?
Well, I'm still a lawyer. I still have my license. But I never practiced after that. Not for money, anyway.
Okay, wait, can you say that again?
Not for money.
I never practiced. Aren't you? I've never heard a lawyer say that.
You get what you pay for, too. Don't forget.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's a little chewy. You just want to spit it out a little.
That's right, yeah. But... So got the real estate broker's license, and then commercial real estate, residential real estate. And so, but still things were tough. It was about 1993 and the recession in the real estate business was still on. And I remember a client called me up and said, it was a property I'd sold him in Laguna Beach. It was a small commercial property, and it had come with some carryback financing, which he had to pay off now because the loan was coming due. And he said, well, Steve, what am I going to do? I need like $300,000 loan for this property. I said, well, to refinance it. Yeah. And commercial loans that small are very difficult to come by. Most banks don't even want to touch stuff like that. It's just too much trouble.
The hard money guys do that, right?
Well, they will, but you don't want to go to them either.
Yeah.
So I said, well, and I knew he had this beautiful home in Laguna Beach that he built, and he owned it free and clear.
Leverage.
So I said, you know what? Why don't you take the loan against your house? You'll get the loan cheaper and for 30-year amortization and all that, and then just pay off the loan on the commercial property. So he ultimately did that. And so after I saw him a couple months later, I said, just out of curiosity, like, how many points did you pay on that loan? He said 2 points. So that was like $6,000 or something, which was a lot of money at the time for me, especially when I was making a lot of money. I'm thinking like, wow, if I was doing mortgages, I just gave away, money. And so I immediately started doing mortgage work. And so
you're smart enough to know that you just educate yourself a little bit, get a license, and now you can make that money.
You got to be nimble. You got to go where the business
Absolutely.
is. And then for most of my career before I became chamber president, I was doing real estate sales. Frequently, I'd sell a house and do the mortgage on it as well. And I did a lot of refinance work throughout the couple decades of doing
this is hilarious.
Mortgage work. Yeah, I was a notary. I was a notary too at one point.
Oh, you're a notary too. Oh, perfect.
I was a one-stop shop. I could sell you the house. I could get you the mortgage, and we could notarize the documents at the closing.
And you could make sure you're not getting the properties good enough to be like something that what you're buying. You
Yeah,
can look
well,
over everything.
I have my
and you know,
law background.
Your
so
law
to
background can help
protect you against,
So you'd have been a great having somebody on your side. Yeah, having you on your side.
Well, I
Having
hope
yourself on your own side,
Yeah.
you're like a one-stop shop.
Exactly.
Like,
Oh, I knew
hey,
enough.
Steve, can you notarize? Hey, Steve, can you go ahead and look at that document? Steve,
What do you think, Steve? Yeah. I knew enough to stay out of trouble. Sometimes actually I wonder, I look at other professionals in the real estate business or the mortgage business, and I wonder how they even function without, the
all
law
the
background.
knowledge.
Because it's so easy, especially these days.
Daily Logic Check.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Daily Logic Check. I'm Elizabeth Vargas, your host, with my co-host, Andrew Vargas. If you like what you saw, you like what you see, click like, subscribe, follow us, and support us on Patreon. Peace, love, and happiness.
Daily Logic Check.